of the voter region should not vote for him. They shouldn't vote for him. What stupidity is that? And then some say, oh, Ashanti, we have to break the MPP hold in Ashanti, so it must be an Ashanti. What nonsense is that? And then some people say, oh, if the person doesn't come from Central Region will not vote. They are keeping us, on every now and then some new story, every now and then something about running mate. My friends, choose your running mates now and let's get on with it. What's this useless wait? Sana, I can't understand. What is so difficult about choosing a running mate? That should take all this time, that there should be all this drama around it and so on. What is the problem? Now listen, people who want to be president must be decisive. They must be able to take decisions in the nick of time. What these presidential candidates are telling us is that it is very difficult for them to make decisions. And if that is the case, this country is doomed. They can't even choose their running mate. What choices can they make about the economy? So I'm completely disgusted by this rigmarole, not knowing what to do and creating all this mess. All of the presidential candidates, not one, all of them are behaving the same way. And I'm completely disgusted by this behavior. They can't take decisions and they expect us to have confidence in them. And for me, the worst part is what the Honorable Member of Parliament has described. I am from Ashanti region, so I should be Vice President. I am from the Northern region, so I should get that. I am from Western region, so I should get that. Are we mad? We must understand that the choice of running mate is about resolving the concrete problems that confront Ghana's people. If you go and choose a running mate from the voter region, does that automatically lead to lowering inflation? If you go and choose a running mate from the Bombíńğ region, what problem does that solve? So this regionalism is nonsensical, it is foolish, it is populist, it makes no sense. Choice of running mate on the basis of where they come from, tribe and so on. Does it make sense to you? It is foolish. You go and choose somebody from the voter region, so what? Does that take you out of the IMF program? Does that reduce the stock of the national debt? You go and take somebody from Bumpurugu. How does that help you? How does that help the country? So one of the things we must be emphasizing is competence. Competence. Who can help us solve the concrete problems that faces Ghana today? Who has the answers? Who has the track record? These are the issues. We have all been paying lip service to our commitment to gender equality over many years. Lip service. Anytime a woman is put somewhere, we connive, we conspire, we do all kinds of things, we go and uproot her. And then we come and say we are committed to gender equality. Look, I don't think, and I'm honest about it, that all women are good. There are women who are thieves. There are women who are murderers. There are women who do all kinds of things. But also there are good women too. There are bad women and good women. In much the same way that there are good men and bad men. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And I think that our commitment to gender equality must not be by lip service alone. We need to take concrete actions in order to do that. You understand? If you ask me, if this choice of running mate delays again, I will make up my mind about these presidential candidates. They can't decide. They have no capacity to decide simple things like running mate. How can they have capacity to decide major policy issues? The president declares war. Do you know that? If you're a president, it comes to a point where you have to say that, look, our soldiers should go and fight. Now, if you cannot choose your running mate in good time, and so on, when it comes to the declaration of war, how are you going to perform? Presidents are so powerful that they actually sometimes play God. They decide who should live and who should die. Every president has the capacity to sign the death warrant for people to be killed. Do you know that? Presidents, they can sign your death warrant, you'll be killed one time. They can also, even when the courts have convicted you and sentenced you to death, presidents can say no. Presidents are supposed to be playing God. I mean, and if you decide who should live and who should not live, are you not playing God? Huh? So if you have this enormous power, we are going to give you this enormous power, and it takes you 1 year to decide who your running mate should be, then there's a problem with you. If you're going to give you all of this power, and we have allowed this thing to fester to the extent that, and please, I beg you, excuse my language, today I'm struggling to find the appropriate language. Any idiot gets up and says, I'm the best qualified to be running mate because I was born in Bombíńğ. Any idiot. And it is because the presidential candidates have allowed this to fester. Some of the names, I mean, you know them, I don't want to mention them. Mother, you hear the name, and then you have like, but this one too, Abba, how? This one too, when so, I'm being very calm. I mean, this running mate thing, I'm being very calm. Now, I'm being very calm. But nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Nonsense. And the one that kills me, cry, is the religious thing. Look, Kenoforiata may have failed in many things. I don't know. But he has succeeded in one thing. Kenoforiata, within the last 7 years, has taught us that Bible recitations do not solve economic problems.
Yeah.
That's his success. Huge success. He may have failed in everything, but has succeeded in teaching us that sanctimonious looks and Bible recitations do not solve concrete economic problems. And we should be learning that lesson and using that lesson in our march forward. Christian Muslim ticket, and so what? What does it bring? Or Muslim ticket, and so what? Check our history, check the record. The Eid al-Fitr festival became a national holiday when both president and vice presidents were Christians.
Yeah.
Check. Check. Many of the gains that the Muslim community has had in our country happened when both vice president and president were Christians. I'm not saying that means that we should always have Christians as president and vice president. We could have Muslim too as president and vice president. Yeah. We should be looking at output. Yeah. Look, today we are talking Christian, Muslim, and so on. Alhaji Bombíńğ, when he was campaigning to be vice president, one of the things he said was that Muslims would have another Muslim in the Flagstaff house if he was voted for. Is that not what he said? Since being in the Flagstaff house, what have been the gains that Muslims have had? As we sit here, the Al-Aqsa Mosque is being bombed, and his government is saying that it stands firmly with Israel. Alright? The Al-Aqsa Mosque is being bombed, and the government in which he, a Muslim, is He's saying that they stand firmly with Israel. Firmly. Not just stand with Israel, firmly with Israel. And there are many, many Christians around the world who are standing up and saying this genocide against the Palestinian people must stop. There are many Christians around the world who are standing up and saying that, look, bombing of mosques should stop and so on. What has Alhaji Bombíńğ said about the situation in Palestine? I dare him to open his mouth about Palestine. I dare him to open his mouth about the destruction of mosques in Palestine. Don't waste our time. And President Mahama, look, this your long delay is serving no purpose but just generating confusion after confusion. That's your long delay. Who is it benefit? It's not benefiting you. It's not benefiting the NDC. It's not benefiting Ghana. It's not benefiting anybody. The earlier President John Mahama came and announced his running mate, the better it will be for this country. You should stop wasting our time.
Thank you. Honorable.
I wanted to say he should.
That's what I mean. It's for the whole of Ghana. I mean, nobody loves this confusion. Every day, new running mates. And this thing is dividing us.
Yes.
There's some people who are saying that, look, if the running mate doesn't come for the voter region, the people of the voter region should not vote for him. They shouldn't vote for him. What stupidity is that? And then some say, oh, Ashanti, we have to break the MPP hold in Ashanti, so it must be an Ashanti. What nonsense is that? And then some people say, oh, if the person doesn't come from Central region will not vote. What rubbish is that? The constitution of the party and the constitution of Ghana says that the presidential candidate has the power to choose the running mate. You should leave the presidential candidate to choose his running mate and stop this useless pressure. Stop this useless pressure. Completely useless pressure. What is this? And I heard somebody who calls himself an elder of the party saying that for him is waiting. If Mahama chooses the running mate and it's not his choice, something will happen. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Stop this rubbish.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I will not lob a grenade into my own house.
Who is launching the grenade?
Say when you start outside your whole family house and you throw a grenade, you will get your relatives.
Who is launching the grenade?
Well, let me do yet a few comments. A few comments coming in on this matter. This one says, Prof. Nana is simply the best, should not be changed. Tell Kojo that they should be ringing the alarm bell still. It's all over. I'm not sure MPP needs our votes. They have something in mind.
It's not important.
No, it's not.
The campaign for Professor Nana it's not important. The president should choose his running mate and let's move on. What is this? Bombíńğ should choose his. Every presidential candidate should choose their running mate and let's move on. No campaign. The region where they come from is not important. Their religion is not important. Have you been following this research by Global Info Analytics? Have you been following it?
Yes.
Have you been following it?
Yes, I've been following.
What are you learning from that research? CDD, when they do that, don't you read? All kinds of ignorant, selfish, self-seeking people have jumped onto the political scene and are behaving in very repugnant manner.
Thank you. I have a few minutes. I have about 15 minutes more to go.
What kills me are the threats.
It looks like you have a lot more to say than you are saying.
I told you.
Anyway, well, 15
The threats are annoying.
Yes.
The threats are so annoying.
A brave man is the one who knows when to run.
I see. Well, thank you. Thank you. Before I come to Comrade Kwasi Pratt, I think this one is directly addressed to him. This one is Jonas says, please ask Uncle Pratt who's Nkrumah's vice president or running mate was. Because he didn't come across anything of, I didn't come across anything of sort. Now, if Nkrumah can run this country without a vice president or running mate, it means this country can be run without a running mate or vice president. So please, let's go back and learn from Nkrumah. Mr. Pratt.
Unfortunately, we have a different constitution. The constitution we have insists on a running mate. So, unfortunately, we are not the drafters of the 1992 constitution. Honorable Member of Parliament, Now, you have said that since the last time, you've been trying very hard to understand what is happening in the Middle East. I don't know what sources you've been learning from, but they are very bad sources. Okay. Because Hamas has fully claimed responsibility for what happened on October 7th. Fully. They haven't run away from what they did. They claimed responsibility for what happened on October 7th. And Hamas leaders are not in bunkers running away. They are fighting. They are in the battlefield. 2 weeks ago, Israeli figures suggested that about 300 Israeli soldiers have died in the fighting. How did they die in the fighting if Hamas had run away and they were hiding? Other reports indicate that thousands of Israeli soldiers have died in the fighting. Tanks have been destroyed and so on. And I've seen Hamas militants in the field fighting, destroying tanks and so on. So they are not in hiding. In any case, if we refer to international law, international law does not under any circumstance give the occupier the right to defend himself against the occupied. International law discriminates in favor of the occupied. Only the occupied under international law has a right to pick up weapons and fight. Israel is the occupier. The Palestinians are occupied. You can never put them at the same level. And indeed, October 7th was not the beginning of the conflict.
No.
The conflict dates back 75 years ago. What is happening in Palestine cannot be justified under any circumstance. Cannot be justified under any circumstance. Look, if you are counting those who are lost under the rubble, more than 30,000 people have been killed. More than 30,000 people have been killed. 30,000. Can you imagine?
Yama owi akwa baba Mansa Media College. Mansa Media College a school power ya TV so any radio so dwumadie. Ya so ye e Kumase atonsu. Baby a uwo bia opese ba Mansa Media College a. Na be hu dwumadie yedi ne hono a. Yentie dwumadie yedi no Mansa Media College.
Se usua bribi wo media mu ana opese ohunu bribi biara efa media ho enso eche kra
Mansa Media College e wo homam
ye wa atwetwefo a wa kwadiri yie wa adetwe mu na in studio ni ye newsroom de editwam wonsam twemu no ye twe bribi ti se kasebo akenkan ni sinitwa ni bebura ekeka ho wo multimedia mu nso ye twe bribi ti se sini mfoni asiesie mfoni nitwa ni bebura ekeka ho ye betumi nso aboa ama wo de na otwepe asunya bribi wo nkitahudie adwuma ahodo nyinaa mu esan se ye wo yankasa foni nti aboe biara ye ma ya adesuafo kwan ma okọ yode ya twerɛ won adesua dan mu no
ahwefo ehu ekame ese obi biara wo le bosomtwe ase enim abakosema efa nsuo ihu menya abofra kitu bi wo ha ono so se onim abakosema efa le bosomtwe ho
abusuafo ye mama kwaba eba Ghana Pages TV so emra so se ye the trending issues ne ekoso ewo abe for time fidie ni so ebe somo midin na eje wa akode
Mansa Media College e ma o de o we hia bia wo nkotahudie mu